Hey folks, welcome in. We are getting ready to go live right now in the community with our spotlight session. Spotlight sessions are pretty unique in my mind. This has been around for a long time. It's one of our flagship programs where we reach out to folks in our community and hear their stories, figure out their successes, figure out the complexities, the business models, all the ins and outs of what it is to be an entrepreneur. And specifically today, we have Andrew Brockenbush. Andrew was one of the folks that came to, I think, one of our first ever events as High Level all together. He's one of our OGs, if I may say that. He's been a entrepreneur for more than 15 years, an agency owner for at least 12 to 13 years from what I know. He's very close to $1 million run rate with his SWAS, agency services, and more. He does some additional projects with our teams here and there. He's someone that I've watched grow in the community, and I was like, you know what, Andrew, we've got to get a beefy podcast going, man. We
Let's
gotta we
go.
gotta make it happen. So thanks for saying yes to us, man.
Absolutely, man. Anytime you guys do so much for the community and anytime we can give back, it's a lot of fun.
So Andrew, where are you based out of? Like I
I'm
see
based
the
out of
setup.
it's a little town called Tomball, Texas, but really like what I would tell the people is Houston, Texas. We're probably 40 minutes outside of Houston. And Houston, if you've ever been here, it's just one big blurred line. We're just so big. So we're based in Houston, Texas.
That's so funny. I don't know if you know this. I'm based out of Houston as well.
No way. Where are you at, Paulson?
I grew up in Sugarland. I live closer to like Pearland area.
Nice, man.
We could have rented a studio out. Now
We have a
now I'm like,
studio next time, Paulson. Come to my studio, bro.
oh man. So Andrew, why did you decide to become an agency owner?
Oh man, it's funny. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now, and I had to like go back and like tell this story and kind of recall what it was. So the marketing agency was not like my first entrepreneurial, journey, if you will. My first ever business was a recording studio. So I have a bachelor's in music production. I was like, I'm going to be a famous producer, and did that for a number of years and then ended up closing that business. I went to work for Apple. I was a corporate trainer. I was doing like a lot of travel and doing corporate training for Apple, and it was so much fun. And when I was working for Apple, I got a phone call from a like childhood friend, and she said, "Hey, I'm marrying this Navy SEAL. His name is Marcus Luttrell." And I was like, "Marcus Luttrell, who's this guy?" It's like I look him up. New York Times bestseller, lone survivor. They ended up making a movie about him. Mark Wahlberg played him. And she's like, "Hey, would you design us a T-shirt?" I was like the creative nerdy guy that she knew, and so I was like, I fit the bill of the thing that they needed.
Wow.
And so I asked the leadership team at Apple. I said, "Hey, if I like step out and do this and like go do my own thing, do I have a job if it doesn't work out?" And they're like, "Absolutely. Like, don't live a life of regrets. Like, go do that." And that was about 13 years ago, man. I left Apple to open up my marketing agency. What started off
Wow.
as primarily like branded merch and swag and stuff like that. And it's grown to what it is today.
That's incredible. Um, Tell us about the first beginning stages. Like I know 13 years ago high level didn't exist.
No way.
So like what's your journey to high level? Like walk us through the beginning stages of your business. I know we have a lot to talk about. We've got some if you're watching this, I'm excited for you because you're not going to come across folks like Andrew often who's been around the world of marketing for more than 10 years. Like in today's world, I mean, a seasoned agency owner started like in 2022,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so you're going to learn a lot here and we're going to keep things casual. But Andrew, take us to the first chapter of your agency.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, to like the newer agencies, the newer experienced agencies, like it was like a different world. Like other than being a new entrepreneur and learning the ins and outs of being a business owner, like being an agency owner back then was kind of easy. Like I could post on your Facebook page and like we would crush it. Like we would just like every Facebook post would be getting like, great organic reach. This is long before like we even started talking about the algorithm or started talking about like how
Yeah.
everything's changing or the 100 social platforms that exist now. And then I think the other thing was really interesting back then was there was not a lot of opportunities to like I didn't even know what the word white label meant back then, right? Like the partnerships that existed were more like partnerships. Like you could go to a company like Constant Contact or ActiveCampaign or
Hmm.
HubSpot and like have a partnership with them. But really it was like an affiliate program. You made your 15 to 20% by bringing your clients to them and they signed up. And so HubSpot was really kind of like our first like journey into like, I feel like becoming like a big agency, or
I've
at least
heard
what
of them.
felt like a big agency, you know?
Yeah, I said I've heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of a big, big company back, especially back then for the little agencies. We were like, oh, if you sell HubSpot, like you must be like a legitimate agency. Like,
Yeah, you're considered like an enterprise big
yeah,
agency,
like
right? That's
you know
the
inbound
perception.
marketing, like like that kind of stuff where it's like people didn't know what inbound marketing was. Like your clients absolutely did it. And it's like that was our start really into the kind of reselling a product or a service. And I honestly think it's like what took us from like the regular flat rate work of like let's just sell a website or let's sell a logo or whatever the case may be into these really like full service kind of retainers where it's like, well, we're going to sell you a tool that's going to show you all the things that we're doing, and then we're going to sell you the service package of SEO or paid advertising or whatever the thing may be. I mean, back then in the early days of inbound marketing, it was honestly a lot of content marketing, right? It was weekly blog posts, it was ebook creation, it was like
Yeah.
tofu mofu bofu, right? It was like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Like
Yes.
we're giving you the things that you need to like get people through your funnel. So I feel like it was kind of easy, and then now it's not, right? A lot has changed. Like AI is changing the landscape, and yeah, that's kind of what got this thing cranked off.
Wow. So how early? So we started high level like in 2019. When did you find us?
It's funny. Me and Dar love. I don't, you know Dar. Dar's big in the community. Me and Dar love to like talk about this, but I mentioned to you before we started recording today that like I've been in the podcast space for a long time as well,
Yes.
and me and him met. I think like it had to be like early 2021 or 2020, something like pretty close to that. Maybe even the year before at this big conference called Podcast Movement, and he was there. I was there. Like we were both just doing like podcast stuff, and I remember meeting this like kind of wild, wears fancy hats kind of guy on the floor. And even then he was like interviewing people, right? Like on the podcast floor. And I remember him telling me about HighLevel. And I just thought like, this guy's crazy. Like there's no way that this
Dar,
guy
you're
like,
crazy in case if
yeah,
you didn't
yeah,
know.
Dar and me, it's okay. We've got a good relationship. But like, I genuinely was like, so like shocked that like, he told me he was like a software company. He owned a software company. And I was like, like, what does that mean? Uh, and so like I kind of ignored him to be completely frank. Like I just was like, all right, this guy, like, there's no way it's too good to be true. And then I was hosting a podcast called Business Growth Hacks. Every single week I was doing a new episode, and I ended up having like 3 separate guests that all would ask me like, so are you using HighLevel yet? And I was just like, well, people keep telling me about it, but I'm not. And I remember by the third time someone asked, I said, I better like actually invest some time like looking into what this is and like do the due diligence. And so I signed up. I don't know what year was the first ever SaaSpreneur event that you were at, but
I
like
want to
that was the
say,
year I invested in going and learning more. So
okay, so I think, so I want to say maybe 2021 or 2022 might have been. Yeah, 2020 yeah, no, we didn't do it the
no events
first
that year.
year.
Yep. The
Yeah, so
pandemic,
it
no
has to
events.
be, it has to be summer of 2021 or beginning of 2022. I
Yeah.
specifically launched the event myself, me and Robin. We didn't even have a events team. I had just hired, I believe, Celeste, who now pretty much runs the whole show there on the event side,
Yeah.
and is a great leader there. So I remember hiring her around, I want to say 2021, end of 2021, something like that, or summertime, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And then 22 might have been our first ever Saspreneur event. Because
Yeah.
after the first one, we took a while to do the next one because we're like, we had so many learnings. We're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, we got a long way to go to figure this out. But
It,
yes,
it was so much fun, man. Like, I think that's when I was like, oh, like this is legit, right? And quite frankly, even then, like I was a little bit nervous because the platform was not what the platform is today,
oh no,
right?
it's nowhere near what it
And so,
is.
you log in and you're like, okay, this isn't the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but like I like what's happening here. And I got to
Yeah,
spend a lot of time with the founders because they were present, like everyone was present, right? And I was like,
yeah,
okay, this is like a big deal. Like this is a
yeah.
relatively small event. And the fact that the founders are present and like they're willing to listen to us, I was like, this is going to be a big deal. And so like we
Yeah.
went home, signed up, and like haven't looked back, right? And like really
Yeah.
leaned into the community. It's what caused our official breakup with HubSpot, which we can get into if you want. But like that was like our getting
Yeah.
into it. So
I think this is the early days when our skateboard didn't have any wheels.
no way, bro. No
So
way.
we have this, if you don't know us at High Level, we have this habit of launching as quick as we can with the minimum viable product. We let everybody know that it's beta, it's in labs. Well, we even have beta in labs today. Back then, it just arrived.
Yeah,
It just
it
showed
just
up,
came.
and
It just came in the couch. Yeah,
it just came. It
right.
just came. Surprise! You log in, it's a different platform. So, but we built everything based on feedback, right? So, Andrew, going back to your agency, I mean, you guys are doing close to $1 million now. How did you decide the business model? Like, what made you say, I'm going to do the SWAS model versus just traditional agency marketing services? Like, walk us through your mindset on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was like the thing that a lot of like new agencies feel, which is like that revenue roller coaster, right? Where it's like 1 month you're crushing it, where you're just like everything is like so good and like is awesome. Then you get into the weeds of like fulfillment and then you come back up for air and you're like, "Oh no, how are we going to pay the bills?" Right? And I think
Yeah.
that like there's so many people in the agency space that like are still experiencing that.
Yep.
And I just knew that like, okay, there's got to be a better way. Like, there's got to be a better way to like make money. And so my first kind of like experiment with that was actually purely selling websites on a recurring revenue basis versus like flat rate. So like we were averaging like $10,000 to $12,000 a website, and I remember telling my business partner at the time, I said, I have a stupid idea, and I was like, and you might think I'm crazy. I was like, but what if we sold $12,000 websites, but we charged $500 a month? And we offer like custom design, hosting, unlimited maintenance and support, and we just like see what happens. And that was like really when I saw this huge pivot in the business where like, yeah, it took some time to like build up the recurring revenue, but once it stacked, it was like, oh, like we can breathe now. Like now we have predictable revenue here, right? Like we aren't just stressing about where we're going to get our next meal from. And that was like the big change. And then obviously we introduced HighLevel into the mix, and we were like, okay, well now we can like amp that up even more. So it's like now our $500 a month like started to grow to $800 a month, $1,200 a month, $2,000 a month. But we're able to like bundle in the software piece where it's like now not only are we going to deliver really incredible service, but we're going to also provide a platform that like allows you to do some stuff on your own and empowers us to show you what we're doing. And I think that was the like, I don't know, unique value proposition or the selling point that I would often take to prospects is I'd be like, look, there's a lot of SEO agencies out there that, you're paying $2,500 a month for, and you have no idea what you're getting. I was like,
Yeah.
if you pay us, I'm going to give you a dashboard and there's full transparency into what we're doing. And like that worked so many times because people are like, you're right. Like I have no idea what I'm paying for. Like what do you mean you're going to give me a dash? Like literally I'll show you everything we're doing and there will be no, you know, wonder what's actually happening. And so I think that was like when I unlocked like the little magic formula of like, oh, okay, if we bundle these two together, I'm delivering more value and it's not really costing me much more to do that. Um, and it's empowering my clients to do some of the things that like just start to scope creep anyways, right? Like I think that's one of the biggest struggles in agency life, right? Scope creep. Like we're all like clients pay for this and they want this. And so if you can provide or empower them with other tools to allow them to get more than what they're paying for, and it doesn't require more of your time, that's crazy awesome. And I think that's only gotten better as HighLevel's platform has grown, right? Like you think about
Yeah.
tools like the ads manager, for example, or reputation management and,
Voice AI and
like all of these like SEO tools, all of this stuff. It's like now if I have a client that comes in on our base package and we're throwing in, what we call Wingman, it's our white labeled version of HighLevel, right? We give them Wingman, then they're starting to be empowered to say like, oh, we can run our own ads until we're ready to hire them to do it. We can do our own SEO until we're ready to have them do it. And so we're actually finding that our clients are kind of growing with us and we're helping them, we're meeting them where they're at versus like what I think a lot of companies do, including myself back in the day, was like, we know that the best package for you is like that $2,000 a month package where we're doing all of it. Cause like we know it's going to take the task off your plate, give you the time freedom. We're going to deliver the results. But the problem is if their revenue can't support that $2,000 a month, I'm just going to put them in an uncomfortable position, right? And they're going to churn out in 6 months because they've done it as much as they can. And eventually they're like, we just don't have the cash to do that. So if we can meet them where they're at and grow with them as they grow, I think we have an opportunity to like keep the business long term. So our attrition, our retention goes up. And I don't know, for me, like that's what's like really, really like, I feel like I'm fanboying about the product, but like the reality is like, it's really, really empowered our agency to support our clients better.
Yeah. What's interesting is I'm thinking back to that very first SaaSpreneur event, and I remember talking to Peng Jun. I was like, Peng, can you come over from Malaysia? I remember talking to like Josh Nelson and some big people in the industry that can confirm our business model. Like we would always recommend, guys, we're agency owners of the past. We understand, right? We know your world, but for some reason, software is better than a marketing agency.
Oh,
But at the
100.
same time, we don't want you to feel like you have to throw away your marketing agency.
Yeah,
We
for
would
sure.
want you to build a subscription or a recurring model
Yeah.
into what you already have. And then guys like you, Mike Cooch and Rob Bailey, like you guys have all embraced the SWAS kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, what freedom do you have because of the recurring model? Like, can you still go take on, big projects if you feel like it? Or is it like, I have this one trick pony model and that's all I do? Like, what's the flexibility you see?
Oh man, it's wide open, right? Like now you'll learn as you become a seasoned agency owner. Just because you can does not mean you should, right? Like
Yeah,
but I do feel like we still have the freedom to do whatever we want. Like we do, on average, we'll still do one or two big website projects a year for like a college or a university, and those are still like
yeah,
$30,000-$40,000 website projects that require a lot more like energy output from our team.
yeah,
Same thing, we do like these big annual reports for some government entities, and it's like we have the freedom to do that because it's like this right here pays all the bills and covers operational expenses, and this over here is like, ooh, a sprinkle of good profits, into the mix. I think what's been the most special about adding in the software component is like it is the ultimate like churn buster. And like
it's,
you
a,
might be
it's
like,
an
what do you mean?
insurance play. It's an insurance play for sure.
You still
Yeah,
with buster in the
perfect.
sense
Sorry.
that one of the things that we noticed was when we get a client that comes in for, let's just say SEO, let's just say that we're billing them $1,500 a month, and 6 months, 9 months down the road, they're like, hey, we got the result we wanted. We need to pivot our strategy. We want to do something else. We want to free this cash up. It's like, cool, like no big deal. But because we're bundling in the software side and we're being very transparent about at the very beginning, like, hey, if you cancel our services, there's an expense to keep the software. Well, we are really intentional about making sure that they're utilizing the tools, right? Or at the very least, we've utilized the tools for them, right? Anything from like
Yeah,
putting forms across their whole website, live chat widgets, automations. Like I want to make sure that that thing is like deeply weaved into your operation. So when you say I'm going to cancel SEO, well, guess what? You're not canceling HighLevel because you don't want to start all over again with that. It's already been done. We did the work. We integrated it. It's like it's working for you. So what used to be a $1,500 client gone with no revenue in sight is at least now $300 to $500 a month that does not go away. So when I say a churn buster, that's what I mean by that is like you can do like even if you decided today, like I'm only focused on software or on service side, and that's all I care to do, at least bundle in the software for free so that when they cancel the service, because likely at some point they will, right? Like the lifetime value of a customer is 2, 3, 4 years. At least you'll have that software revenue to fall back on, right? So I,
yeah.
I think that's like one of my favorite parts.
I think it's a big thing, because before high level, I don't think this was a popular thing among agencies, right? Like software companies never came forward and said, "Hey, let's share revenue together." Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm proud to say we did, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, we're not selfish enough to be like, let's just take everything that's possible from the market. Instead, we're like, how can we democratize the development world? How
Yeah.
can we partner with these agencies, knowing that we are agency owners of the past, right? So it's been something that I think has saved a lot of agencies, right? Because in the middle of pandemic, right before when we started High Level, like guess what? All of us were losing clients left and right. The
Yeah.
only thing that we were able to save are like hosting fees
Yep.
or like random like merchant providers we set up where we're
Yeah.
charging $9, right? That revenue was the only thing that stayed, right?
Yep.
So knowing that, it's like, okay, so for something about these utility fees,
Yep.
electricity bill, it's not gonna be taken off, even if they canceled your services. So Andrew, let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about how to grow these agencies. So I know you were one of the few that leveraged podcasting as a prospecting tool. Like I remember that because I remember feedback you gave to Chase and the team about, chamber presentations and all kinds of resources that you leveraged back in the day. First of all, we were happy that at least one person downloaded one of those things, right? But walk us through your world of prospecting altogether. How do you bring in new customers today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll take you back just a little bit before that, the whole chamber thing, which was we had stepped out and decided to buy an office building. And I remember like putting my like foot in the door for the first time and being like, wow, this is so beautiful. We can't afford this. There's no way. And I remember the sales guy that I'd hired was like, yeah, we can, bro. It's so cool,
Of
And I
course, the
remember
sales
just
guy will
I
say
was
that.
like, damn salespeople. And I remember going back to the house and like crunching the numbers and I was like, all right, I think we can make it work, but we're gonna like have to put like boots on the ground. Like we're gonna have to like really go like integrate into the community. And so it was pretty like again, like I'd gone to SaaSpreneur event, we bought this office building, and I was like, okay, we have to be at every single chamber event we can possibly be at. But the one like, I don't know, brick wall we came across was that there was like 5 other marketing agencies in our town. And it was like when we're all getting our little 60 seconds to like do our elevator pitch, it's like, I build websites. I build websites. And it's like, I can't be another guy that just builds websites or like, the whole purple cow story. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
be just like everybody else here. And so I'd always had this thought. I had been producing podcasts and I was like, what if we disguised podcasts as like a prospecting tool where we basically give a business owner the opportunity to like promote themselves, get some free content, like all these things that like put their name in the shining lights. And that's the thing that we promote when we're at chamber events. So instead of promoting like that we're another agency, we're like, hey, why don't you come be a guest on our podcast? And I loved using that like Apple, because obviously it came from Apple. I loved using that like ecosystem word, which was like such an Apple word. And I was like, I remember telling my sales guys, like, we need to bring them into our ecosystem. And my thought there was
let,
like, if
let,
I if I brought them into our office, they saw like our cool swag, they saw the work that we did, they saw the plaques on the wall, and then they came into our like dope studio we built, then they would be like, oh, this is like, what else do you guys do? Like, we wouldn't have to ask them, they would ask us, right? And it's
wow.
exactly what happened, man. It was like, I couldn't have asked for like a better like playbook around this. I was like, oh, this works. Like, we secured probably 2 or 3 6-figure contracts from podcasting just by bringing them to our office. And so I call it the podcast prospecting method now. And the
Yeah.
idea is exactly what I said is just go out and bring someone to be on your show. You tell their story. And it truly is like a value first. Like, I don't want people to think like, well, that's so sneaky. Like, it's not, because I really am giving them a platform. I'm giving them videos. I'm giving them audio clips. I'm giving them social content they can use. And if there's an opportunity, if like I discover that there's an opportunity, well, then I'm going to be a resource. And sometimes being a resource means connecting with them with somebody that's not me, right? Like, hey, based on something you said on the podcast, I wanted to connect you with my friend over here that I think could really help you out. That
Mm,
power of reciprocity goes a long way, right? Like
yeah.
me just being a
Yeah.
value add. Maybe they're not a customer now, but the next time they think about marketing, I promise you I'm going to be the name that comes up. It helps that I have a really great brand, Beefy Marketing, Beefy. Everyone loves the Beefy brand. But like that was kind of like the start. Now, will it work forever? Nothing works forever, right? Like you constantly have to be like adjusting. And so one of the things that I'm doing a lot of now that I think is really, really fun, and I think more SaaS agencies, SWAS agencies should do, is leverage some of the tools that you guys have given us as kind of white label partners to their advantage. So you've got the prospecting tool built in, right? It's a great
Yeah.
way to kind of like figure out, okay, who's got chat on their website, who's running different, like you can just get some quick understanding of like, okay, are they an
In a
ideal
good,
prospect? And I
healthy
love that
area. Yeah.
it gives you a score. I mean, like you don't even have to like think about it. Like just look at the score. Um, and then what we're doing is we're actually creating like on-demand voice AI demos. And I've actually
Mm,
like I've got some really cool screenshots like to prove that this like actually works. And what I was doing was I was quickly creating an AI agent. I wasn't spending a lot of time building a knowledge base. I was just quickly giving it a simple prompt. And then I would call the AI agent and I would just record the call, right? I just, hey, it's like, oh, this is Billy Bob's Plumbing. And it's like, oh, great. Like I got a leak. And I just record myself having the call. And then I would actually send that recording to the person on a Facebook DM, right? Like, hey, I had some extra time and I created you an AI agent. Wanted you to check it out. It's pretty cool. And I've got screenshots where the people respond and they're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. How did you do that? And I was like, well, let's hop on a call and I'll share with you. So like, I think that's like one of the easiest outbound prospecting methods right now is like this, like on-demand AI demos or like personalized AI demos where you build it for them, you drop them at like, give them like that experience. I remember like the story that like sticks in my head of why this works. I remember that me and my girlfriend probably 7 years ago were like looking at buying a new truck. It was like a Thursday or Friday. We went and looked at a Chevy Silverado, and the general manager, I'll remember his name. His name's David, said, hey, what if you guys just take it home for the weekend and get a feel for whether you like it, and then bring it back Monday, and you guys can make your decision. Like if you do it, cool. If not, no worries. So we're like, why wouldn't we take it home for the weekend, right? Well, guess what? The moment you have the keys to that truck and you feel like you have ownership over it, you're gonna buy it, right? Because you're like, you can see yourself in it, right? And that's exactly what we're doing with these AI demos is like, it's one thing to be like, I can create you an AI agent, or have you heard about AI? It's like, just show them what it's like for their business. If they see that they're a busy med spa and they're having a hard time getting, enough leads booked, show them what it would look like by dropping them a real demo. And I promise you're going to start getting relationships built by just doing that. So like, that's
Yeah.
one of our plays. Then, like any good marketing agency, we're always experimenting and trying other stuff. So we do quite a bit of LinkedIn outreach and, like stuff like that. We also do like more of our strategic partnership type reach out where we find somebody we think has an audience that's built for us. And we kind of just reach out to them and see if there's a kind of a commonality of like, hey, can we come speak at an event for you? Or can we do a training for your community? Because
Yeah.
that's a great way to get them back into what we're doing. So
What I love about some of the options you mentioned is, well, with the podcasting, I think the underlying component that people may miss here is the fact that you're demonstrating how a relationship would be with your agency,
yeah,
right? As soon as the podcast is done, they see the speed of how quickly you're sending them the shorts. They see the speed and interaction your staff is providing them while they're there. They see how you interact afterwards. They see how it's not just like a random sales pitch or a strategy session. You really did care about their stories and wanted to put it out there, right? So there's
yeah,
like this emotionality you create. Even with the other things, it's like you're displaying kind of like what it would be like to be like with the voice AI demos. It's like, well, there's no like perceptional like strategy that I'm talking about. I'm just going to show you the strategy, right?
yeah,
Like you don't have to imagine what it's going to be like. I'm going to let you hear the actual thing that we're building for you. So I think the underlying thing is that they don't have to guess what their marketing agency will be doing for them.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that is exactly what it is, man. Because like they get that quick, like we talk about it even in our onboarding experience. Like, what is the quickest win we can get for a new customer? Like in our
Mm,
case, like most of our packages include web design, right? Because it's like bread and butter of like a lot of agency business. And one of the big things we strive for is like after they've been onboarded, we want them to see their new homepage in less than 1 week. Because when they see that level of like speed, it's like, they get like that quick surprise and delight of like, holy crap, this is really good. And you guys are really fast. And
yeah.
it's like, I think about companies like, we're from Texas, so we're allowed to talk about this. But like, I think about companies like Texas Roadhouse. And one of the things that they do in the restaurant
Mm,
industry is when you sit down, they put that little tiny piece of paper with a little piece of tape on the side of your table, right? And that the whole point of that is so that the manager can come by and identify tables that have not been greeted by the manager yet, right? And
yes.
what's so cool about that is that like little psychological, like them coming and talk to you, really what it's doing is buying them more time in the kitchen, right? Like truly, it's like, I'm not going to notice that the food took a little bit longer to get out because guess what? A manager came and saw me 5 minutes after I sat down and it was like, oh, it resets the clock, right? And I think that that's what we do when we get our customers quick wins. And it doesn't have to be a customer, it can also be a prospect. Like, how can I deliver a quick win for this prospect, but in a way that truly delivers value? Because there's a million agencies pitching your ideal customer every single day, right? Me too. I'm also pitching them, right? And so if you're not going to stand out and do something that's going to make an actual impact on their business by leading with value, then you're just going to get lost in the noise, in my opinion.
Yeah. And plus, like, they're gonna bring out like the cinnamon roll bread and all this
Oh,
other extra
100%. So
stuff.
good.
Like they're giving you something as like a quick win while
That's
you
right.
even like look at the menu, right?
That's right.
Like I care about the cinnamon butter
Yes.
more than anything else. I'm
I
like,
want,
that thing is there, and I don't even go to Roadhouse that often. It's been a while, but I'm like,
now you're
now that
like, I'm going to Roadhouse.
yeah, but your point is wonderful because it's the quick win. Even in SaaS today, right? The trial period, 14-day trials, or I don't know if you guys do a trial or onboarding or whatever, paid trial. The key is to get them the win as quick as possible. What is a quantifiable win
Yeah.
that they would appreciate? Not just a perceptional win, but just
Yeah.
numbers have to be moved some way, somehow. If you can do that, you've got a better relationship. Do you
Oh, for
feel
sure.
that way? Is that what you focus on as
Oh,
well on your
one
onboardings?
100%. I mean, if you know, there's a book called The Automatic Customer. So anybody that's like not in the SaaS game yet and wants to learn more about it, The Automatic Customer is all about the SaaS business world, right? And recurring revenue world. And they talk about how important the first 45 days of a customer's journey are for the
Yeah.
long-term retention of a customer, right? And so I've always thought about that. Like, and like you said, it can't just be perceptual value. Like, for example, like when we have a customer on board, we send them a really cool swag box that has all kind of fun gear inside of it. And that's like a nice, like, oh, that was cool. But
It's a
it's
feel
not like
good. It's a
something
feel
that
good.
it's a feel
Yeah.
good, but it didn't deliver value. So I think that that's when we look at like the OGs of high level, like Rob Bailey, and we say DBR, database reactivation. Like,
Yeah.
if I
It's
can take an existing
quantifiable.
email list you have and pull it out of wherever it's at, put it into here for you, send out a
Yeah.
campaign, and you get sales from it or booked opportunities from it, guess what? You're not getting rid of the tool. Because if we could do that in 1 month, what could we do over the course of 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? Right. So I totally agree. I don't have any like magic formula for what you're supposed to do in the 30 days, but I think that you've got godfathers like Rob that have laid the foundation for like easy, and I think there are some other great things. I mean, review and reputation is a great one. Like, how many new positive
Yeah.
5-star Google reviews can you win for a customer by doing a review campaign? Can you quickly set up a voice AI agent? For me, it sounds silly, but the faster I can install a piece of HighLevel on their website, I feel like that locks it in. Because it's like if I put a chat widget on your website, most of my customers are like, well, hey, we don't want to lose that chat widget. Well, then don't cancel. And a chat widget sounds so simple, but like we talk about like some of the features that you guys were highlighting a lot back in the early SaaSpreneur days, like missed call text back, for example, right? That's
Yes.
still a really, really valuable resource. Okay, I've got one. I've got one that I think I'll share with people that's like a little one that I keep hidden away, but I think it's really good. One of the things I first do when I install a form from HighLevel into a client's WordPress site, for example, is I build an automation in their account that automatically calls them when the form is filled out. And the automation basically calls them and says, hey, you have a new lead. Press any key to be connected. So it's the outbound call automation, right? So that they can
Oh,
press
the connection. Yeah.
connection, right? But what I do, this little weird psychological thing that I do that I think is like a real nice touch is I say, you have a new lead from Wingman. Press any key to be connected. Well, guess what? When that form starts getting filled out over and over and over again, and they keep getting calls that say new lead from Wingman, new lead from Wingman, they don't want to lose the leads from Wingman,
Yeah. Who's
even though
Wingman again?
like what's man, we're getting a lot of leads from Wingman. The reality is they're getting leads from their website. But we put an automation in play that reminds them that those leads are coming by way of us. And there's a lot of visibility into what's making that happen. And that alone, like I've had clients tell me, like, we don't want to lose those leads from Wingman that
Yeah.
keep coming through. That is an easy
Yeah.
one-step automation that like you don't even have to do anything. Like the automation can be in your snapshot. It's automatically in their account when it's created. You set their
Yeah.
phone number up, you add the form, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see this in other industries too. Like if I'm a restaurant owner, I keep seeing Uber Eats orders. It just keeps saying Uber, Uber, Uber all day long, right?
Yep.
Well, it's not from Uber, it's the people that's using
That's
Uber, right?
right.
So but Uber is essentially indoctrinating that business owner to know that's a primary channel of income, right?
That's
So
right.
I've seen agencies do this with transactions, right? Anytime a invoicing anywhere in the business happens, it'll say you have a new customer paid invoice from Beefy Marketing or whatever.
Exactly.
Like it's
Yeah.
like, well, at some point they see that you're an integral part of everything that they do. right?
Yep.
And I think that's the key to that stickiness. So, Andrew, let's pivot a little bit. Talk about AI. What is your outlook on this whole AI thing? Being a seasoned agency owner, I mean, you've seen the world of high levels AI stuff in the last 2 years, and we've got a lot in the back workings. I can
Oh
tell you
yeah.
that much. End of this year will be epic. But
Yeah.
what's your outlook on this whole AI thing? Is this a fad? Is this another trendy thing that people are yapping about? Or do you feel like there's an opportunity here?
Oh, I think it's major opportunity season, right? I think that it'll be like any of these like, decade long changes in any industry where we have to adapt or we're going to go out of business, right? And it's not to scare people, it's really to just be like I've been in it long enough to have seen the changes, right? Like I saw the social media
Yeah.
shift, I've seen, the
Yeah.
software shifts. Like I've been a part of a lot of these different shifts in the industry, and I think that we have an opportunity that we really have to say like, okay, are we going to embrace this and pivot, or are we going to be like resistant and get left behind? And so for me, like I'm doing a lot of AI advisory and I'm like bundling that into like our services. Like think about like fractional CMOs or fractional services, like
Mm,
fractional AI advisory, where it's like, hey, you're a small business and you don't know how to leverage AI. Let me be your advisor that's going to tell you which tools make the most sense. Let me tell you which tools make the most sense for you. And really, like the heartbeat of that should be high level for most agencies. Like, don't go be a tool peddler and give a million tools unless there's really an opportunity for a tool that they need. I think high level for most companies is like home base. Like it's the thing that's going to give
yeah.
them the majority of the AI that they need. And then outside of that, like, yeah, you can like color outside of the lines a little bit. Like I'm a huge nerd for like vibe coding and like all that you can do with AI to
Yeah.
build your own apps.
Yeah.
That's been
It's
one
a
of the
big
fun,
piece. Yeah.
yeah, like that's been one of the coolest ways that I've personally have been vibe coding is like I'm actually building standalone, really simple micro SaaS tools for my clients. And then I'm still connecting it to their high level account because I want it to still feel
Mm,
like this is all one thing. Right. And I'm even putting it as like one of the great features that I thank you high level gods for giving us is the ability to put custom links in the sidebar, right? Like I'm able to take these micro tools that I'm building them and add them into their sidebar for that particular sub account and still
mm,
connect it to their high level account. So the data is basically passing through. And I know I'm talking about like more technical things right now, but like,
yeah.
again, it's like for them, I don't want them to think about 30 different things. I want them to know that if they log into Wingman, log into high level, they're going to see everything that they need for their business. But I'm
Yeah.
giving myself a new revenue like thing over here by saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'll build you a tool for 10,000 that does this one thing. And for them, it could be like massively business solving. Like I have a client that's in the trucking industry that there's just like a part of their business that's so old school and it's like an industry wide problem that like me and the guy that I work with at his company, we're able to solve it in a couple hours. Like here's a whole tool that does what you guys are spending hours on. That's like huge for them. Like that gave me a lot of like, well, they're just protected
Yeah.
my 12 months of revenue, right? From that client.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to leverage it. I think for the folks that are like a little bit AI concerned or AI worried, like just start with the tools that high level gives you. I mean, there's plenty there. Everything from the voice agents, the chat agents, the ability to tie it into your actual, automations and workflows. One of the ways I highlight it with most small businesses is just the social media planner. Like, I mean, at its most foundational, that is a great use of AI. A small business is saying, well, I'm using Chat GPT to come up with ideas and then I'm still manually posting. It's like, well, what if I could show you how to manage all your social media in less than 1 hour per month and you could do it all inside of high level? You
Yeah.
can write all your content, you can schedule it all out, and you're done after just 1 hour. Most small companies that can't afford a $1,500 a month agency, that solves a real problem for them, right?
Yeah.
So I think that again, like kind of like I said earlier, like I think I had this realization in the last few months really is just that again, as agencies, I feel like a lot of times we're forcing our customers into the packages that we think are best for them, but not in a package that actually is aligned with where they're at from an income perspective. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that we're doing in our sales calls now is like, what is your biggest goal? Like, what would you like to see from working with us? Like, what would if you snapped your fingers in 12 months from now, like what would that would look like? But then also like, where are you at currently with revenue? Because if you're at $250,000 a year and I'm trying to sell you a $3,000 package per month, it's just not going to work out. And it helps me like not waste time on like tire kickers, but it also allows me to push them to the right place. If you're making $200,000 a year in revenue, you're a great fit for our SaaS only product. It's got all the things that you need to do. We're going to give you education. You can join our coaching program where we're going to teach you how to use these tools. We're going to set it up for you. But if they're making a million plus in revenue, it's like cool. Like there's a hybrid option here where we can do some services for you and give you the software.
Yeah, and Andrew, you know that I'm not much of a technical person, but I've got some questions for you.
Okay, bring them on.
From a sales so from a sales mindset, um, how do you monetize this whole vibe coding thing with small business owners? Like, first of all, for somebody that's watching, what is vibe coding? Like, let's talk about it. Like, there is a place where you integrate a lot of different tools into high level as a standalone solution. Um, in today's world, we don't necessarily have a what like a coding component to high level, but I promise you, it will be coming, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
I'm
sure
starting to I'm
Chase and the
starting to see it,
team.
like, it's labbing out
Yeah,
one year
yeah,
at a time.
yeah. Chase is working on some great things. I don't wanna pre-announce before he makes any decisions. But at the end of the day, like, help me understand from a sales standpoint, like, how do I monetize this whole AI stuff, this vibe coding stuff with small mom and pop shops? Like, what is the bridge there for them?
Yeah, I think 2 easy ways. I think one is just purely AI, like fractional AI advisory, right? A lot of these companies are AI curious already, and they don't know what to do, right? They
Yeah.
have no idea where to start.
So like
They
a
might be.
consulting feel, or what is advisory? Like, are you charging a retainer, or
Yeah,
like what
like
is
retainer
the
model, and, I think that for the smaller businesses, like the sub $500,000 a year companies, the best way is to put them in a one-to-many group, like group coaching type program, where it's like, "Hey,
mm,
1 hour a week, we're gonna get on a call. We're gonna talk about, like, what's the latest in AI. We're gonna, like, go through our tools. We're gonna, like, break down one tool every single week." And, like, I just did one of these calls yesterday, and I remember whenever it was over, the lady that organized it, she's like, "Andrew, like, every time you do one of these, like, I, like, learn another thing that I didn't know yet." And I think that the reality is most small businesses are just barely using Chat GPT. And I think
yeah.
for the problem is agency owners, we're always 10 steps ahead of small businesses. So like we're tired of Chat GPT and getting Claude and OpenClaw and all these things. And our small business counterparts are like,
What
what's
is
that?
that?
And
Yeah.
it's like,
I think less than 3% or something. Don't quote me on the data, but I think less than 3% of business owners use even ChatGPT.
yeah, it's just like, and if that's
Like
like
it's
real math,
insane.
that's like there's a massive opportunity there, right? And so I
Yeah.
think that we have to remember that like just because we're experts in AI and we think that ChatGPT is not cool anymore, that might be the entry drug, if you will, to the client, the small business that just needs to know what this is. Like that's one way we do it is kind of that group coaching. I think more on the vibe coding, slash micro SaaS is one of the things that I loved about like how you positioned high level back in the early days, and I think a lot of people still do, was like what if we could replace your total tech stack that's costing you thousands of dollars a month with one tool that let's just say is less
Yeah.
than $500 a month? Most companies are like, wow, like the money that you save me is paying for this. Like it's girl math.
Mm.
Why not? Like let's do it. And so that's what we're doing with micro SaaS and like vibe coding. So vibe coding, for those that don't know, is basically using AI to build applications, web applications and tools. And there's some great software that does it, everything from Lovable, Replit, most large language models like Claude and Chat GPT and Gemini, all of them have it built in to some degree as well. And what I'm doing is finding out like, because I spend a lot of time with my clients. Like we try to have a lot of FaceTime with them just to make sure that there's a good rapport and we don't have high churn. And one of the things I try to do on those calls is just discover like, hey, what's taking you guys a lot of y'all's time these days? Like what is something that's just like a drag on your time? And you start to like be cued into what those things are, and you'll realize that some of it can be solved pretty quickly, right?
Could I ask for some examples so I can just like kind of visualize what do you mean? Is it like, a solution for one item, like let's say document controller signatures, or is it like what is the delivery? Like what do they get from, I don't know, like coding
Yeah.
with you, if that makes
So
sense. Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. So this sounds counterintuitive to like what high level has to offer, right? So high level has built-in proposals and invoices and contracts, and it's really, really good actually. But I have a client that because his business is very particular, there's like terms and there's like different like loan options based on the number of years someone leases a truck, right? There's like all these weird things. So I literally just like had him tell me what like give me an example of one of the proposals you send out and tell me like what's most important. And I literally opened up Lovable. I typed it in, I uploaded the contract, and like no joke, within like 10 minutes, I had a custom proposal tool that was built for his industry, built for his business and how he does it. Didn't take me any time at all to build this. And then I just did a quick introduction, like connection, if you will, to HighLevel, so that now when the proposals are sent out from this standalone micro SaaS tool, it's still being logged as activity in HighLevel. So I'm still
Mm,
like letting it all be like viewable for them. He can see when someone opened it, viewed, but he's using a tool that for him is just very focused. Like he doesn't have to get distracted by anything else. He
mm,
just sees like,
yeah,
okay, there's the number of terms, here's the discounts, here's he can pick from a drop down of the inventory he has, and then boom, the proposal sent out. So that's an example of one. Um,
gotcha.
we've also started to use it to replace tools in our own company. Like I'll give you a really dumb, boring sample of this. So we needed to put like event calendar buttons on our landing pages inside of HighLevel, ones that just said like add to calendar buttons. And there wasn't a way like natively in HighLevel to do it at the time. I don't know if it is yet or not, but there wasn't a way to like add a calendar button to your events. I was like, oh, this sucks. And so I found this company that charges $30 a month and all they do is give you add to calendar buttons. And I was like, $30 a month? So I went into Lovable. I said, I need it so that when I put the event details, the link to the event, the date, the time, generate me really pretty HTML that I can paste into my HighLevel landing page that's add to calendar buttons. And again,
Wow,
1 hour later, I've got a tool. It's called calendarbuttons.com where you can go in and get calendar buttons for your HighLevel landing pages.
that's
So
hilarious.
it's things like that. I mean, and
Got
again,
it.
you start to add up all of the different tech stack, especially that agency owners pay because we love toys and tools. You start to realize that quite a bit of what you pay for, you could probably replace by building your own that's more purpose driven for your own business versus like kind of making it work for what you're doing.
Understood. So that gives me like a good idea of how this all works. So there's a that's also, recurring opportunity, right? So you can
Yeah,
charge a client, you know, $50 a month for something that's important to them, right? Like,
that's right.
and you just start adding multiple recurring revenues instead of just
100%.
one,
Yeah,
right?
stack
So
it
it
up.
just
Yeah.
it's a new world of agency
Oh,
ownership.
it is. It is. And if you link it into their HighLevel account, then it's like they still feel like it's all a part of the same platform, right? Which is fun because again, you're saying, hey, like everything that I built for you, just go to like log into your Wingman account, log into your HighLevel account, and you're gonna see everything's right there for you. And they're like, this is awesome. I don't have to go anywhere else except for so it's just like that psychological thing of again, like program that like wingman, like to the point now, like when I talk about HighLevel, I sometimes like when I'm trying to talk about HighLevel, actually, I like will call it wingman and be like, I mean HighLevel. So like once you get that psychological piece down, it's like your customer feels the same way. Like my customers will call me and be like, hey, like I'm in Wingman and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, this is so great. This is the best thing ever.
I love it. I mean, that was the whole point to begin with when we launched these things, right? Like
Yeah.
it sounded crazy when we would tell people, "Hey, just remove our logos and slap your
Like
logo
say
and
what?
just go to market and you can keep all the revenue that
I know. That's why I didn't
you
believe
make."
it. That's why I didn't believe it, Paulson. I was like, there's no
You
way.
know? How was it go? I mean, what, 7 years later, it's still the same thing, you
Oh,
know?
it's so great. Well, what's funny too, you mentioned earlier that there wasn't a lot of that back in the early agency days, and you're right. Like the programs that were semi like that were like, you can white label and resell our product, but you have to buy a minimum of 30 licenses. And it was like, for smaller agencies, that just wasn't possible. Like, it's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
asking me to front the cost of $2,500 a month and then hopefully make the money back in reselling. And then if I want to make more money, I have to sell more. It's like, it just, and then when HighLevel came out and said, hey, $500 a month and you can white label it and rebill. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is freaking amazing.
Yeah. It is we've came a long way from the old days, that's
Oh
for
yeah,
sure,
so much, so
I
much.
I'm still thinking back to the first event. I remember figuring out, like, catering and, like, random
Like,
things
what is
just
this? Yeah.
events management-wise, you know? So, Andrew, you've hit close to the seven-figure run rate already, and, you guys are doing just under a million from what I understand, or 900 something, or about to break through the million mark. What are things that you've implemented to now go to the next level? Like, well, to go to 1.3 or 2 million, or what does that look like? I imagine you do your own mentorship and you invest into things. I imagine you bring in leaders or build leaders. I imagine you have processes in place. And I imagine you have a different world of lens for risk analysis, right? Like,
Yeah.
walk us through your mind today versus like 13 years ago, and how you're building your agency from
Oh
like a
man.
growth scaling standpoint.
Yeah, I think that the biggest lesson that I could that pass on to someone else is like don't be afraid to hire coaches. Now, obviously do it pick the coaches and the mentors that make sense based on where you're at financially. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. But I think that like we waited too long to hire our first coaches. Now I have a leadership coach, a sales coach, an operations coach. And I kind of think about them as fractional, advisors, and to some degree, but it's like made such a massive difference on how we operate as a business. But like even me, like when I first hired my leadership coach, I was like, okay, like we'll see what that like. It's like therapy. You're like, what does that mean? Like, what does a leadership coach do? Fast forward, we've worked together for almost 2 years, and my team, if you ask them like what it's been like for them, with me working with a leadership coach, it's like I'm a completely different leader, right? Because I manage stress different, I manage problems different, I think more clearly. I don't like let the pressure of the business overwhelm me. Which has been really, really rewarding to like, even like I feel it. I'm like, oh, whoa, like I didn't freak out. Like like this is, like I know what to do and I know what to
I
expect.
normally would have been stressed out seeing a letter like that, but now
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I've seen this
cool.
before.
Like I know what to do. And I think too, like a lot of times, like we work in our own like little zone. And I think for
Silos, yeah.
some marketing agencies, like not every agency owner is as like extroverted as I am. Some of them are more like introverted nerds and they like to like put their head down. I'm like a bit of a hybrid. And for those folks, it's like you just like work within your bubble and like you don't want that outside. And it's like I promise you that the moment you step outside of yourself and you look at what other people have done, then you're gonna go, oh, I'm really going down the wrong path here. Like, let me course correct. And so I think that that's like one of the first things I would advise is like bring in people that have already like experienced what you're going through and hire the coaches because they really will help you out. I think that for me, like you talked about like what are we going to do to break through that like $1 million mark or 2 million or whatever the next kind of goal for us is. I think I have two thoughts on that. I think the first thought is like clarity and focus first. I think for the longest, like no offense to the skateboard model, Paulson, but like Beefy was the skateboard model. It's like a client would
Yeah.
come to us and say, could you build a logo? Yeah. Can you make t-shirts? Yeah. Can you podcast? Yeah. Like we would say yes to everything because that's how you make money. Like you just say yes and you figure it out and either it works or it doesn't work. So I thought, and now I'm a lot more intentional about saying yes to the right things, making sure that the services that we are offering, are they actually profitable? Or are we just offering it and breaking even just because we thought it's making us money doesn't mean it is making money. So I think focusing in our offer, I think candidly, like we never chose a specific vertical to work with. Like we were pretty wide in that regard. I think if I could go back in time 10 years, I would have locked in on one industry, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think it's fun to be I really enjoy being the type of agency you are because we get to work and serve so many different industries and businesses. I feel like the more I've been in the agency space, the more coaching I've got, the people that I see that are absolutely crushing it, like at the top of their game, are one vertical, right? And I think that, or maybe just a few. And I think that the reason why that works so well is because your communication strategy can be so much more efficient, right? When
Yeah.
I'm sending emails, when I'm sending blogs, I'm having to write it in such a generic way, which means I'm trying my best to communicate to everyone who's in my funnel or who's in my kind of email
Yeah.
list. Whereas like if I only served med spas, for example, like I could just speak their language, right? Like, and so I do regret that a little bit. Like I would tell a younger agency, like maybe pick one. I also think that like just because you pick one industry doesn't mean that that has to be the permanent thing. If you find that you don't like it, you can always pivot and adjust to a different vertical. But I do think that it allows you to be more clear. And it also doesn't mean that you have to say no when opportunities come, right? Like just because I say that I only serve med spas and I communicate to med spas, the time that I get a lawyer who comes to me and says, can you help me? It's like, yeah, sure, I can help you. But I'm not trying to market to him. I'm trying to market to this one intended vertical. On the flip side of the 7-figure like breakthrough, I talked to you a little bit before we started the interview, and I mentioned that I reread the book Profit First from Mike Michalowicz,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. He
And,
was
and
there. He was one of our speakers at a Level Up conference for the VIP.
yeah, he is what a great, like talented, sharp mind, right? And so this time when I reread it, I think it just hit me different in the sense that like especially in the world of agencies, there's this like glamour of becoming a 7-figure agency, right? You've got whole plaques and awards and models built around being a 7-figure agency. And I think that that is like really aspirational. And I think that it's awesome if you can hit that. But when we look at the grand scheme of business in America, less than 80% of companies in America will ever break $1 million in revenue. And so I think when we think through that a little bit, it's like, am I chasing $1 million for the sake of saying that I'm a 7-figure business? Or am I doing it to fulfill or serve the life that I want to have? Right. And so I think for a lot of new agencies, I talked about this when I spoke at Level Up last year. I want you to think about, like, what is the freedom number for you, right? Is it replacing a W-2 job that you've got? Is it retiring your wife? Is it being able to, like, send your kid to an amazing college? Like, build your dream life and come up with a number that it costs to live that dream life, right?
Yeah.
That should be your first target. Like, hitting 7 figures, in my opinion, should not be your first target. Like, the first target should be to give yourself the freedom that you get into business. Because what I see is so many business owners chase the 7-figure goal that they lose sight of what they got into business for themselves. And guess what? They're actually making less money than they were making whenever they worked a job. And then the burnout starts to become all too real. I think agencies like has one of the highest burnout numbers I've ever
Hmm.
heard of.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's for me. Like, this year, I, like, when I reread, Profit First, that's exactly what I told myself. I said, you know what? I still have this goal to hit 7 figures. Like, I've been so close, and I want to surpass that and beyond. But I also want to be a more profitable business. I want to make sure that my employees feel valued. I want to feel like that they're paid what they're worth. I want to make sure that we're efficient in every way that we're able to, that we're not paying for flashy software just because we think it's cool, but because it actually serves us or serves our clients. And so, like, like, getting into my numbers and look at my P&L statements, which no agency owner really wants to do. But, like, deep diving into that data reminded me, like, you could have the life you want to live, and it doesn't require a 7-figure business to be able to do that. And I think that that's what's so special about SaaS and HighLevel, is that anybody could build the dream life that they want. And I talked about it at my Level Up presentation. I said, you could get, I think it was 10 clients a month on Voice AI at $500 a month, and you replace your W-2 salary. 20, you've retired you and your wife. 30, it's like, we're talking about 30 people. Like, these aren't big numbers. This isn't 100 clients that you have to serve. Like, you don't have to have a team of 12 people. Like, I love my team, and they would know that if I said this, they would forgive me for it. But if I could go back in time, I would keep my team super lean. I'd probably have like 4 to 5 really core people that do core functions. I wouldn't have a team of 12. I don't think it's necessary. So that's my feedback on the 7
Yeah.
figure.
It makes total sense. One thing I learned over the years of building through different agencies is it takes a certain type of person to hit the 10K mark, which is typically the lowest mark. Then it's like you have to elevate yourself into another version of yourself to hit the 25 to 30K mark, right? Then the 75 mark, then the 120s, then the 250s, right? Like every single version of Andrew changes
Yep.
as you go. And when you get to that 7-figure mark, they say, I've heard this from a couple of, well, it was like a podcast or something I was listening to. For you to become a 7-figure business owner, you have to build at least multiple 6-figure leaders internally,
Yeah.
right? So for you to do that, then you have to have leadership skills
Yep.
that are way different than what you started off with, right? And that
100%.
comes with the different types of stress. That comes with a different type of acumen. That comes with a different outlook in the market for agility. And now you have a cruise liner. It's not going to move like a canoe
That's
like,
right.
like
It's
it
a lot.
used to, right?
A lot
It's
harder,
like
man, to move it.
yeah, and the more people you have, the more communication you have to do, and it makes it that much harder. Andrew, close us out, man. What are the final thoughts you have, and speak to the folks that are at their 9 to 5 today, and they're working on their 5 to 9, and they're like, man, we see this vibe coding thing, we see HighLevel, we see this agency model. It's exciting. They just are in the early stages. Speak to those folks if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of this is repeated information that we hear a lot, but I think that there's some truth to it. Like, start in your own circle of influence. Like, you probably know 10 people that could benefit from AI. Like, that's the reality. Like, if you just opened your Facebook or LinkedIn, or you looked at your phone contact list of 600 contacts, I bet there's 10 people in there that could use AI. Boom. You just retired yourself from the W-2 job. At the very least, it covers your bare expenses so that you can actually do this full time. It's one of the tips I give, like, all people who are like dipping their toe in the water and are afraid to leave their real job. It's like, you will never be able to do it if you don't fully commit. Like you have got to be able to say like, I'm doing this. Matt Decino says something that like always like resonates with me, which is like, sometimes you have to put yourself in that position of uncomfortability so that you are actually forced to make it work. Right. Like for me, like when the bank account gets a little low, your boy starts to grind and hustle. Like I figure it out because it's like, oh, my back's against the wall. I know what it takes. Like I gotta dig deep. Whenever you get comfortable, it's just like, well, what do you lose? Like if you keep your W-2 job, and I'm not saying quit your job, right? Like that's not my advice here, but like I think for those that are like not willing to be a little bit more risk tolerant and say like, I've got to be able to make this work, then you're never going to make it work because you're like going to make 1,000 excuses about why it's easy to not do it. I'll share like a personal kind of story. I'm like in the process of trying to lose weight. It has been a struggle of mine my whole life. I gain weight, I lose weight, I gain weight, I lose weight. And so the other day in one of the masterminds I'm a part of, I just like called myself out in the room. I was like, all right, guys, I need y'all's accountability. Like I need to do something about this. And one of my buddies, TJ, came up to me and said, hey, what is the consequence if you don't start doing this? And I said, I don't know. He's like, well, let's donate to a charity that you don't believe in, or let's like do something that's going to like sting a little bit. And so what we had kind of agreed upon was he said, hey, for the next week, I don't want you to eat out because I love to eat out. It's just like become a problem, right? He's like, don't eat out for 1 week, which to some of you guys might be like, what's a week? I promise you, for me, that week was a challenge. He said, if you eat out once in that week, I'm going to leave you a 1-star Google review. And for me, like the consequence of that was big enough that obviously I did not go out to eat. And what's funny about that is like, I'm on week 3 of not going out to eat at all. Monday
Wow.
through Friday. On the weekend, I'll go have dinner or breakfast with my girlfriend. But like during the week, like we are being super strict about not going out to eat, even to the point where I had a client the other day reach out and said, hey, bro, can we grab lunch? And I was like, you're going to have to give me a couple weeks because I'm trying to like create some better habits here. And he's like, oh, yeah, great. Good for you. But I think that like that's the thing. Like you just have to put yourself into a position where the consequence outweighs, right? Like, so you're going to actually do it. But then also on the flip side of that, reward yourself. If you hit those
Yeah.
milestones, what are you going to do to celebrate? I also will leave them with this book that I read that I thought was really valuable. It's called 10X is easier than 2X, right? In order to 2X, you keep doing more of what you're already doing. But in order to 10X, you have to do something wildly different. And I think for me, that was a big mindset shift of like, if I keep doing the same things I've done for the last 13 years, how do I expect that my business is going to go to the results that I want? And so if I want to go 10X, then I really, really have to start thinking with a totally different mindset. And my team probably hates me for it because I'll read a book and then come back to the office and be like, okay, guys, we're going to 10X. But that book has a really good mindset lesson in it. So I would highly recommend the viewers check that out.
I love it. Andrew, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate you saying yes to this. I feel like we're gonna have to bring you back for one of these master classes or workshops or something and kind of get, kind of behind the scenes of what you built and stuff like that and just, teach from that standpoint. I would love to do that. But
Yeah,
either
it'd be
way,
awesome.
Andrew, we're grateful for you. You've been part of the community for a long time now, and you spoke at our on our stages in person at Level Up and other events as well. So either way, thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. This has been fun.